From WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority, this is News Center 16 at 11.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Lewis, and here are tonight's top stories. In heavenly peace, the man who led Northern Indiana Catholics for nearly 3 decades has passed. Tonight, we remember Bishop John Michael Darcy. And serial smokers, just when you thought it was bad enough, a 5th Elkhart County tobacco store is robbed in only 9 days. But first, the man who led the South Bend-Fort Wayne Diocese has lost his battle with cancer. In December, doctors diagnosed Bishop John Michael Darcy with brain and lung cancer during a routine physical exam. He died early this morning on the 56th anniversary weekend of his first Mass as an ordained priest. Tonight, we look back on his life. The son of Irish immigrants, the late Bishop Emeritus John Michael Darcy was born in Boston during the summer of 1932. At 17, he prepared for the priesthood at St. John's Seminary in Massachusetts, the same place he'd go on to receive his doctorate in spiritual theology. Darcy spent nearly 2 decades of his early life teaching and serving as a spiritual director.
That when you serve the students, you serve Christ.
He carried his passion for guiding young people into his role as bishop of the Fort Wayne South Bend Diocese in 1985.
I've consulted with many people and have a more clear picture of the pastoral situation in the diocese.
He championed human values and human love and went on to oppose school-based clinics offering contraceptives.
I think that lacks integrity. It lacks challenge for the young people.
In his later years, Darcy refocused his passion of spiritual direction to Catholic kids in our area, saying Mass at Catholic Schools Week and teaching about prayer.
Where do you find Christ?
In church.
In church? And go ahead.
In your heart.
In your heart?
In prayers.
In prayer!
Prayers that were called for after doctors re-diagnosed Darcy with cancer in December. He spent his last few months surrounded by the community he served for nearly 25 years.
I think it's a great time to be a priest and a bishop because there's so much need, so much hunger. I've never known a time in my life when there's more hunger for truth.
News Center 16's Barbara Harrington joining us now on the set. And Barbara, no question whether you lived in Shipshewana or South Bend, Bishop Darcy had a huge impact on this entire community.
That's right, Kevin. I don't think there's a person out there who would tell you otherwise. I actually spoke with his successor today, Bishop Kevin Rhodes, who says even after Darcy retired in 2010, he didn't slow down. He continued to visit parishes and schools throughout northern Indiana, helping with confirmations and church teachings, and he leaves quite the legacy behind.
To see just how dedicated former Bishop John Michael Darcy was to the Diocese of South Bend-Fort Wayne, all you had to do was take a look at one of his memos.
He would write memos all the time to me, which was humorous at times for me, because if he knew I was going to a particular parish or school, I'd get a 5-page memo about the parish or about the school, so that he wanted to share with me everything about it. Monday, less than a week before he died, he gave me a 3-page single-spaced memo about Bishop Loras High School, about the teachers and everything. And I was like, I mean, but that was Bishop Darcy.
Bishop Darcy was forever teaching during his more than 2 decades as a church leader. He made countless visits to local schools and churches, leaving a strong impression on nearly everyone he met.
I'm going to miss him personally very much. He'd give me wise counsel, and he really was a friend. I mean, fatherly friend, you know, and just a great example of holiness. And the whole idea is a bishop is kind of the spouse of the church. Well, I've never seen it lived in a way like Bishop Darcy lived that. I mean, the church was his bride, so he gave the church everything.
Much of Darcy's life was defined by his work with the church, so it comes as no surprise his death came on a very special spiritual day.
He, of course, knew he was dying, and he said, but I'm not going to die until Sunday, because that's the day of my first Mass, and I want to be around for the 56th anniversary of my first Mass. And sure enough, the Lord heard his prayers, and he passed away to the Lord today. God rest his soul.
But it's only fitting that before he went, Darcy wrote one last very important memo.
A memo with all the instructions for the funeral. So I'm following him to a T, everything that he wanted.
And part of what Darcy wanted was for his body to come to South Bend after his death. So Bishop Rhodes tells me there will be a visitation at St. Matthew Cathedral. It's tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, but we're going to know more details tomorrow.
And with the reputation he has in this community, I'm sure hundreds, maybe even thousands will be in attendance there.
I'm sure, Kevin, and if the number of cards and letters he got from people while he was sick are any indication, there are going to be a lot of people there showing their support and love for him.
Great man, leaves behind an even better legacy for all of us.
An enormous legacy, a great example to follow.
All right, Barbara Harrington, thank you very much for that report. Well, St. Mary's and Notre Dame both released statements about the passing of Bishop Darcy earlier today. St. Mary's President Carol Ann Mooney said his homilies at commencement were legendary, and after Mass, he would stand and take pictures with students and their families for as long as needed. He will be greatly missed by all who knew him. Meanwhile, Notre Dame President Reverend John Jenkins commented his life was one of loving service to God's people as a pastor. He has shown dedicated and affectionate care for the University of Notre Dame. We remember him with gratitude, and though saddened by his passing, we believe he will be an advocate for us in the heavenly kingdom. Of course, Bishop Darcy was a part of one of the most recent controversial issues on Notre Dame's campus. In May of 2009, protesters took over when President Obama was given an honorary law degree. Bishop Darcy sided with the protesters. He said he respected President Obama, but believed the honorary degree should not have been given to someone whose position on unborn life has always been in opposition to the Catholic Church. And because of his stance, Bishop Darcy decided not to attend Notre Dame's commencement ceremonies. Well, earlier this evening, we asked on Facebook for you to share your photos and memories of Bishop Darcy. Mary Kay Longacre sent in this photo of her son with the bishop. She says Darcy was the celebrant for all three of her kids. He paused to take photos with her son at several moments in his life. Tina Madera shared this shot of the bishop with her son, Brandon, during his confirmation. She says she was glad her family was able to celebrate the occasion with him. Laura Fletcher sent this photo of her two daughters, Grace and Kelsey, with Bishop Darcy. Grace was actually confirmed in May of 2011 at St. Thomas in Elkhart. Like mother, like daughter, Laura also confirmed by the bishop 26 years before. She was part of his first confirmation class after he was ordained to the diocese. And our very own Cindy Clausen gave us this picture of her and the bishop, this one taken back in December of 2002. Cindy sporting some blonde hair there. And it's apropos that we now turn to weather, where Cindy says you may want to leave some extra time for the morning commute. Right, Cindy?
Absolutely. We're starting to see some of that snow coming in on 16 Doppler max. Let's take a look as we see, especially off to our west over towards the Indiana state line with Illinois. We're starting to see some of that snow really coming in out ahead of that Clipper system. As we widen out on 16 Doppler max, we'll be able to see that this is stretching all the way back into Minnesota. So this is going to be affecting us for a while. We really do think that the heaviest stuff is going to be coming into the overnight hours in the first part of tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, that does include our drive time, so we're going to have to watch out for that. As far as our day planner, we are expecting to see those temperatures a little bit warmer tomorrow. We're going to be starting off with those temperatures in the mid-teens. Some heavy snow is possible for our morning drive, but then it'll slacken off a little bit. 3 o'clock, we're looking at a chance for some snow. Here's a look at those amounts. We're looking at a good portion of the area between 3 and 6 inches with some locally higher amounts in the main lake effect areas. Stay tuned. We're going to have more coming up in weather in just a few minutes. Kevin?
All right, Cindy, we will see you then. Well, tonight marked the 5th cigarette store robbery in the past 9 days in Elkhart County. News Center 16's Christine Carson live in the newsroom for us. And Christine, I understand you actually spoke with the female clerk at Low Bob cigarette store where this robbery, the latest one, took place, right?
That's correct, Kevin. As you can well imagine, a very scary situation for the family, but even more so for the woman who was working. She told me her husband was at the store with her, and it was when he left that the robbery took place.
It was around 6:45 Sunday that Elkhart County Sheriff's deputies responded to another robbery in Elkhart. And for the second time, it was at Low Bob's cigarette shop. What was different was the woman working.
She told WNDU that 2 men came into the shop just as she was getting ready to close the store and told her to get on the ground. She said the robbers then tied her up with zip ties and even asked for her ring. Luckily, she was able to get out of the ties and lock the front door when the robbers walked out. She then ran to the back office and called the police. A couple family members were standing outside the store when we arrived at the scene and told us that this robbery was different than the others. They said the other 4 robberies were clean, but these robbers made a mess inside the store, knocking things around. The woman working did say the robbers did leave a fake gun behind. She also said she believes it is the same group of people involved in all of the robberies, just different people from that group robbing each store. One of the family members also told me that Marathon gas station that was robbed on Tuesday may be closing because of the robberies. Now, the Elkhart County Sheriff's Department says the robbers made off with cash and several cartons of cigarettes.
And Christine, police say the suspects are white men wearing black hoodies and bandanas covering their faces. This is the basic description in those other 4 robberies, right?
Yeah, this all seems to be connected, but the Sheriff's Department has not commented on that at this time because they are still investigating that possibility. What I can say is the family, and I'm sure many others in Elkhart, are wanting answers at this time. So if anyone knows anything, please contact the Elkhart Sheriff's Department.
And I know the hope is that we'll have photos, possibly video of these suspects released tomorrow.
Absolutely.
All right, Christine, thank you very much for that report.
More to come on News Center 16.
Kicking back with Kerry. Former presidential hopeful settles into his new gig as Secretary of State. Plus, moldy mess. 4 months after Hurricane Sandy, and fungus is growing fruitfully. We share New York City's plan to make it stop.
And we have more snow on the way for Michiana tonight, tomorrow, even more on Tuesday. I'll have your forecast up next.
From WNDU, Weather Authority Cindy Clausen has your Storm Team 16 forecast.
We've seen a fair amount of lake effect recently, but this snow that's coming through in the next 24 hours is going to be affecting everyone. Of course, the higher amounts will be in the lake effect areas because we'll see it transition to lake effect as we get into tomorrow afternoon. But a lot of folks, especially near and north of US 30, are looking to see around 3 to 6 inches of snow, and depending on how much lake effect we see, we could be seeing 5 to 8 inches, perhaps even more in some local spots. A little bit less as you get a little bit further to the south of US 30, but still some snow there with 2 to 4 inches possible. All right, let's take a look outside now. We're looking at Mishawaka. 18 degrees the current temperature from on top of the St. Joe Regional Medical Center. When you factor in those winds out of the southwest at 8 miles per hour, it feels more like 8 degrees outside. Our barometric pressure's on the rise. Temperatures around Michiana for the most part in the upper teens. In the eastern half of the area, have some 20s in the western parts of the area. I don't think we're going to see those temperatures drop too much for us as we head through the rest of the overnight hours. So we're looking at maybe mid-teens. Heading on over to live Super Doppler 16, we still have just that light snow showing. A lot of it's just been the really fine flakes, so it doesn't show up quite as brightly on our live Super Doppler 16 as it does on 16 Doppler Max on the composite. But let's widen out and show you what's going on. You'll be able to see that system coming. Here was a weaker clipper system that was pushing through earlier today, and now we're seeing the second one, the number 2 of 3, because the third one comes on Tuesday. But we're starting to see that snow really start to blossom out ahead of that system as it continues to pull on to the southeast. Here's what the future looks like with the 16 Future Track. We're going to start this off for you at midnight, and Future Track showing that snow moving on in here as we get through the overnight hours. Now here's 7 o'clock, and so we could really be seeing some decent snow during our drive time tomorrow. So please give yourself some extra time to get out the door and definitely take it easy on the roads. We've had a lot of accidents over the past several days with all the snow. As we continue on through the day, really the morning hours, I think, is our best chance for the heavier snow. We'll still see chances for snow as we head through the afternoon, but I just don't think it's going to be quite as heavy. And then even as we head through Monday evening, we'll start to see things slacken off a little bit. The low finally pulls off to the east of us. So lake effect is possible for us as we get into Monday afternoon. But then overnight, Monday night, it looks like we're going to get a break until the next system comes through, and that's going to give us a small chance for some snow with that. Although this one travels a little bit further to the north, so I think we'll see more moisture just to the north of us, but still chances for snow on Tuesday, just not quite as much as we are expecting to see tomorrow. Here's a look then at your Wednesday forecast. Things are looking a little bit more calm for us as those temperatures start to rise. Your Storm Team 16 forecast calling for low temperatures in the mid-teens tonight. Most areas seeing around 2 inches. Could see some more in localized spots, I think especially towards the lake effect areas tonight. Then tomorrow, a high temperature of 24 degrees, and most areas seeing between 2 and 5 inches of accumulation tomorrow. May add another inch or so on top of that tomorrow night with a low temperature around 12 degrees. And then your 7-day forecast shows a nice warm up Thursday, Friday. We're looking at 36 up to 43 on Sunday. A really good chance for rain on Sunday. So with the warmer temperatures and the chance for rain, maybe a rain snow mix there on Thursday as well, we're going to see a lot of this snow melting. And that's not going to be quite the warmth that we saw earlier this week.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, when you have all this snow and you're adding rain to it, we'll have to be concerned perhaps later on this week about some flooding.
Yeah, something to keep an eye out
It's always something around here, isn't it?
That seems to be the case. All right, well, just ahead, Superstorm Sandy having a lasting impact on those hit by its wrath. Plus, a look at what's topping the weekend box office. Stay with us. Months after Hurricane Sandy devastated the Northeast, mold is a growing problem. Damp conditions allowed fungus to grow and permeate walls, doors, and foundations. Getting rid of mold can cost as much as $15 grand, and federal aid does not cover mold removal. On Thursday, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg announced a $15 million public-private program to help up to 2,000 homeowners. The mayor said neediest families will have the highest priority. The new Secretary of State spent most of his first full day on the job on the phone. 2 days after being sworn in, former Senator John Kerry was busy with diplomatic issues all around the world. Kerry made calls to officials in Israel, Turkey, Canada, and Mexico to receive updates on U.S. diplomatic concerns. On a weekend when people tend to stay home for the Super Bowl, a zombie romantic comedy is the box office champ. Warm Bodies attracted swarms of teenage fans, grabbing the #1 spot. The PG-13 Rom-Com com about a zombie whose love for a human redeems him earned $20 million. Second place went to Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. The reimagined fairy tale thriller took in just over $9 million. And Silver Linings Playbook was the weekend's #3 film with $8 million. Coming up tonight, the Irish men's basketball team prepares for a big battle with Syracuse tomorrow night. Plus a wild Super Bowl 47. Anj takes a look back at a game for the record books. That's all coming up next in sports.
News Center 16 Sports with Angelo DiCarlo.
Well, that was one bizarre Super Bowl, wasn't it? Beyonce, a blowout, a bulb out, a comeback, a no-call holdout, all in the Har Bowl. John Harbaugh and the Ravens facing his little brother Jim and the 49ers, Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans. Already 14-3 Ravens just before the half. Jacoby Jones, the catch and the moves. He's from the Big Easy. A little jazz in those steps. What a touchdown. Ravens up 21-6 at the half. Opening kickoff of the third, it's Jones again. 109 yards, tie for the longest play in NFL history. Lights out. Ravens up 28-6. No, really. I mean, lights out. A minute later, half the Superdome goes dark. We'd have a 35-minute delay, and the 49ers would find new life. Colin Kaepernick, Michael Crabtree, San Fran not done just yet. Fourth quarter, Kaepernick once a footnote in history as the man, Manti Te'o, recorded his first tackle at Notre Dame on. Rewriting history here. 49ers within 2. They go for 2 and the tie, but Kaepernick's pass is incomplete. So we head to the final 2 minutes. Fourth down for the Niners. Their last chance. Kaepernick looking for Crabtree again. That is incomplete. Incomplete. A lot of contact on the play. Jim Harbaugh wants a hold. Take a look at it again. It definitely looks like Jimmy Smith's got a whole lot of Crabtree on the play, but they don't call any penalties. Big brother John and the Ravens are Super Bowl champs. 34-31 the final. Gets the congrats from little bro after the game. Victory is the second Super Bowl title for the Ravens. Irish men's basketball team currently in Syracuse, New York. They just watched the Super Bowl. Notre Dame traveled to Syracuse from Chicago earlier this afternoon. Irish defeated DePaul Saturday In overtime, 79-71 for their third straight victory. The Irish now 6-3 in Big East play. They'll face the Orange tomorrow night on Big Monday. 6th-ranked Syracuse coming off a loss at Pittsburgh yesterday. Even so, the Irish know the Carrier Dome against a top 10 opponent, one of the toughest places to play in the country.
It's really tough. I remember my freshman year. You know, it's really loud. It's probably the biggest place we're going to play. So it's a tough place to play, but, you know, I think we just have to keep our composure and we'll be fine. You know, it's going to be a great game. You know, they're a really good team. And we're just trying to get another win.
Just move the ball really well and help grind up that zone and have good rotation. I mean, we play really well against zones, so, I mean, hopefully we can play well there. And, I mean, I look forward to it because offensive rebounds, so it's going to be fun.
Tip-off tomorrow night, set for 7 p.m. Meanwhile, the Irish women defeated Cincinnati Saturday to improve to 21 on the season. And Notre Dame had some special guests on hand to watch.
Woo! Go Irish!
On a day all about pink, there was a group in green at Purcell Pavilion Saturday, having a blast.
It's great to see all our friends. It's great to be back at the school, and it's great to see where we came from.
These ladies are the first women's basketball players in Notre Dame history. They started the club team in the 1970s that eventually led to varsity status, and they provided the current Irish with one unique entrance.
It's great to be here and to see how the program has developed over the years. It's just wonderful to see other women to be able to participate in sports at such a high level and to be so successful.
It's amazing the quality of the players that they are compared to, you know, where we came from. I mean, I was the center, and I'm 5'9", so basketball's come a long way.
Saturday was also the Notre Dame Breast Cancer Awareness Game. The original team scorer from the 1970s is a cancer survivor of 1 year herself, making this day extra special for her.
When I was going through my chemo and my radiation, to have the support of family, friends, all these people here, there's 4 or 5 that were right with me, so it's really great to be able to appreciate them. We went down to the grotto, we lit candles, and it was just real great. It means a lot.
The day had the perfect ending with another Irish victory. And how far they come. Muffet McGraw now 1 win away from 700 for her career.
Wow.
She looks to get that Tuesday night at Villanova.
2,000 points for Skylar, 700 wins for Muffet.
Would be pretty darn good way to cap off this week, to say the least, and they're 21, so things are looking real good right now.
I'd say. All right, Ajay, thank you very much. And Cindy's going to have a final check of our forecast when we come back.
$16 max showing that snow starting to come in from the west into far northwestern Indiana. And this stuff stretches all the way back into Minnesota. So this is going to be something that's going to be with us throughout tonight and into a fair amount of tomorrow as well, changing to lake effect on the back side of it as well. High temperatures, well, they're a little bit warmer tomorrow, but a nice warm up as we get through the next 7 days, especially Sunday when we get up to 43 degrees.
So set the alarm clock 30 minutes early so you can have a safe trip into work tomorrow.
Yeah, it could definitely be a little dicey on the roads tomorrow morning.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us tonight on the news at 11. I'm Kevin Lewis. For Cindy Clausen, Angela DiCarlo, and everyone working behind the scenes, have a great night.